Hey, Facebook. Good to see you guys. I know it's late, but I just wanted to come in a minute because I have this theory. I have a theory that answers the question, what happened to the village? Why does it feel so hard to successfully raise our children? You want to hear my thoughts? Well, stay tuned. My name is Anita Gibson. I am a coach, speaker, an educational strategist, and the president of PXL Academy, a learning center here in Maryland. So here's my theory. I believe that it is not our imagination that it feels harder raising children these days. I believe it feels that way because we have lost the village. And that's why I titled this, What Happened to the Village? Now, there's some debate out there about this village concept. Some people say that's not true, and all the child needs is the family, and, this, that, and the other. But I think if we look back, we will see that there has always been a village raising children, and that parents have traditionally never done it alone. If you take a look back, you will remember that there used to be larger families and areas. So people were more stationary, and they usually lived around more of their family, grandma, auntie, and those types of things. And now people, mostly because of their jobs, are finding themselves moving out all over the country, and many times with no family at all around them. So think back in the day when you had grandma there to help out with different things, and auntie was there and they could babysit for you, or sometimes grandma even took care of the children while you went to work. Well, now, depending on where you're living and you have no family around you, you immediately have to focus in more on that nuclear family, just the mom and dad, sometimes just a mom and the children. And so that's one part of the village that is not as available as it used to be. Also, grandmas used to be more sedentary. Being a grandmother you kind of were a stable force in the family. Nowadays, grandmas a lot of times are out there still working, and they have their own lives, and they're not even as available sometimes to the family as they used to be. Okay, so that's one component of the village that I believe is not as available anymore. The second thing is neighbors. We used to be able to know who our neighbors were. We used to have connections with them. We would know their names and those kinds of things. But nowadays, for many of us in our communities, we don't even know who our neighbors are. For some of us, our neighbors drive into their garage and we don't even know what they look like. If there was an APB out for them, we wouldn't be able to tell you where they were because we've never seen them. And so there used to be a time when you were, as a child, cutting up and you were outside, and your parents might not have been anywhere around. But if the neighbor was there, oh, they got you. They made sure to tell you. They didn't have any problems telling you, stop doing that. I'm going to tell your mother when she gets home. But nowadays, if a neighbor says something to another person's child, they might get cussed out. And so a lot of people have just backed up and, hands off. But that's had an impact because, again, it's taken another layer down of that village that was there to help raise those children. So now that's 2 down. You might not have family near you or family that's available to help. You don't have neighbors around you that are you're connected to, that know your children. The third thing is school. The school, there was a time when our children went to school, and the things that we believed and the morals that we had as a family, the school had the same beliefs. And so they worked with us to make sure our children were doing the things that they should. And nowadays, in some schools, that's not the case. They have a different mindset, a different worldview from the one that we have at home. And so not only do some schools not support what we're teaching at home, they actually may, in some cases, be in opposition to it. And so there's another place where that village used to be. So that's 3 things. That's family, neighbors, school that are down. And then finally, it's church. Back in the day, the church was the main place for African Americans to join together and connect with community. And for many of us, that is no longer the case. With technology, many of us, we may watch the service, a church service online. And so we've become disconnected even more so. We may go to a large church and we haven't figured out how to connect yet. And so, again, not as connected as we used to be, not as necessary. The church is not as important as a part of our community now, because for some of us, we don't have that need anymore because the culture is more accepting of us as a minority. And so we've kind of moved away from needing to be a part of that church family like it used to be. And so those are 4 components that used to be village keepers that helped us as parents take care of our children. So many of us feel fatigued. We feel tired and we are weary. We're thinking and probably wondering why we're always feeling so tired. And I believe it's because it was never intended for you to raise your children without support, without encouragement. Sometimes you feel guilty even asking for help because somewhere in your brain, somebody told you that you were supposed to be able to do it on your own. And that is so not true. And so today I'm here to remind you that you need help raising your children. And that if you don't have those 4 things that I just mentioned, family, neighbors, school, church around you to help, you need to begin to create a village that works for you. A group of people that are around you that will support you. If you are a single mom, there is no way in the world that you should not be taking a break somewhere along the line. You need to be willing to ask for help. For someone to take those kids on a Saturday so you can just breathe. For someone to, even if you can't do it for overnight, if just for the day you can stay in the bed and sleep. But sometimes you have to push yourself to do that. We're so busy running around, we always have things to do. But self-care should be one of those things that is just as important as all the other things that we absolutely have to do because someone needs us. Guess what? When you're in a plane and they say there's an emergency and those masks come down with the oxygen, they always tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first if you have a child with you, and then you put it on the child. Well, it's the same advice that you need as a mom if you're going to make it for the long haul. You have to have self-care for yourself first, and then you can take care of others. So I'm just encouraging you tonight. Get that village. You need it. Don't feel guilty. You're human and you need some space sometimes to take a break. You will come back to them so much more refreshed and ready for the next steps with them, the next days, when you've taken the time to take a break. So if you're saying to yourself, well, she can say that, but in my situation, I don't have this. I don't have that. There's no one to help me. I would love for you to inbox me. Let's brainstorm some ways for you to get the support that you need. Listen, where there's a will, there's a way. And so if that's a desire that you have, I'd love to help you with it. I'm Anita Gibson, coach, speaker, educational strategist, and president of PXL Academy. And I would love to see you get that village up and strong so that you can be all that God has called you to be. Good night, Mom. Love you.